Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the BlackLine matching webinar. So I'm Kevin Shives, a partner in our consulting group here, and my primary responsibility is to help our clients by deploying our resources and expertise in internal audit, SOX, and technology offerings. With me today is Brandon Rayborn, our BlackLine practice lead. Brandon will be doing the heavy lifting today to show you the power of the BlackLine matching tool. Brandon, please take a moment to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so thanks, Kevin. So I have close to a decade of experience implementing BlackLine for clients of various different sizes. So from mid-market organizations up to Fortune 500 companies, and that crosses a number of different industries. So the particular emphasis that I have is on banking, insurance, energy, technology, and manufacturing companies. Very happy to be here today. So our agenda for today is first and foremost that it occurs to me that not everyone on the call might be aware of who Sensiba Sanfilippo is, or SSF for short, and what we do in the consulting division. So Kevin is going to spend a couple of minutes there, and then I will go through an overview of BlackLine's modern accounting playbook offering that is targeted specifically for mid-market clients. And today we're going to really focus on, within that modern accounting playbook offering, the transaction matching product. And then we're going to cover some common use cases that matching can really help to solve in real life, real client scenarios. And then we're going to spend the remaining time in a live demonstration of a real life matching scenario in BlackLine. And then finally, we're going to come back into PowerPoint, wrap up, and time permitting, open the floor to questions.
Thanks, Brandon. So SSF is a full service accounting, consulting, and advisory firm. You know, we have 6 offices across the West Coast and remote resources around the US and clients throughout the country. In addition to audit and tax, our consulting group offers a wide range of services, including fractional CFOs, controllers, outsourced accounting, internal audit, and technology solutions. We are also one of a handful of accounting firms that's B Corp certified, a designation that indicates we strive to balance purpose and profits. You can find out more about that on our website at ssfllp.com. There's been a lot of interest in the B Corp certification, especially amongst companies that have a focus on sustainability. We have a number of resources within our firm to help someone navigate that. So if you're interested, please reach out. My contact info will be included at the end of this deck. And of course, the deck will be distributed to everyone on the call. Next. Focusing specifically on our consulting department. So from a technology perspective, you know, we partner with the best-in-class software publishers to improve the lives of our clients by helping them manage their businesses in a more effective and efficient way. The primary platforms we work with are shown on the bottom right-hand corner of this slide. BlackLine, of course, being the focus for today. With our internal audit and SOX offerings, we help our clients design, document, test, evaluate, and improve their processes and procedures. This can be an engagement as small as documenting a payroll process or as large as implementing full SOX for a newly public company. On the outsourced accounting side, just like the service name implies, there are clients that hire us to perform some or all of their accounting function. This allows them to focus on their core business. Also under this umbrella, we provide family office support and advisory. And again, if you have any questions about any of these service offerings, please reach out and we'll connect you with the right person to help. Next.
Thanks, Kevin. So BlackLine's modern accounting playbook offering, or MAP for short, is a solution that grew out of the mid-market space. So everything on the left-hand side of the two kind of yellow circles is really kind of inputs or system inputs for information that will ultimately feed into BlackLine. And then everything kind of on the right-hand side are the goals for what BlackLine can help to really solve as far as efficiency and automation, utilizing the technology solutions. And in the middle, you'll see there's kind of two circular yellow products that BlackLine offers. So the first is account reconciliations. And this is really the most well-known product in BlackLine's offerings. It's where they started. By standardizing your account reconciliations and using the 9 standard templates that BlackLine offers, along with some others that can be configured to your particular needs, greater efficiencies can be realized. There are also something called auto certification rules that allow for certain reconciliations to be system certified according to a client's risk tolerance. Now, the second product in the MAP offering is called task management. And this is where there's fantastic dashboards that will allow management and the end users to know exactly where the organization stands in the close process in real time. Milestones can be monitored and tracked to ultimately shorten close cycles. And to give you a real example there, internally here within SSF, we use BlackLine to close our books for the firm. And the firm was able to shave a whopping 22 days off the close process. So we went from a 25-day close to a 3-day close using BlackLine's task management product. And the third offering, and the one that we're really going to focus on today, is transaction matching. So I'm going to go to the next kind of slide here, and we have a couple of bullets here. So matching is where the largest efficiency gains can be had for tedious and high volume transaction accounts. So leveraging BlackLine's pass rule automation logic can unlock value for clients. And the automation that we're talking about includes inbound data being scheduled to load and automatically match within BlackLine. BlackLine's matching product can greatly enhance employee morale as the focus transitions from merely getting to the exceptions to solely focusing on what those exceptions are and kind of troubleshooting them. And today, of course, this is going to be our focus in the live demonstration coming up in a couple of minutes. Before we get into BlackLine, though, what I'd like to do is go through a couple of common use cases that in my years of working on BlackLine implementations, I've seen most clients utilize transaction matching to solve. So while the first kind of use case highlighted in blue, bank to GL may be the most common starting point, the possibilities are nearly endless for where you could leverage BlackLine's matching tool. Now, admittedly, with bank to GL matching, there are some ERPs out there that do this to some degree. But where they fall short is providing such a wide range of matching solutions at a higher level of automation. And that really is at its core the value proposition of BlackLine's matching tool. Now, I've seen huge client success with credit card matching, intercompany, inventory matching. And yes, with inventory, I saw an energy firm match third-party statements to GL transactions, helping that particular client reconcile in barrels of products for their inventory reconciliation each month, so that you don't necessarily have to match dollar amounts, you can even match quantities. I've also seen a lot of success with either point of sale or retail point of sale matching scenarios and P cards as well. In fact, we're going to be going through a retail point of sale example in our live demo today. Now, the question is, do any of these use cases look like they're pain points for you in your close process? If so, transaction matching could help to provide that automated solution. Okay, now we are getting close to the BlackLine demo, but before we get there, I kind of would like to set the stage. So out of all of those use cases on the previous slide, I have chosen a detailed accounts receivable retail scenario. And my goal here is to ultimately spark inspiration for an analogous problem that BlackLine matching could potentially solve in your organization. Okay, so I encourage you not to get maybe hung up on the particulars of the data elements or the way things are set up, because all of that can really be configured in BlackLine's matching to work for your use case and your particular area of concern. But we do feel like this is a representative kind of example of what is possible out there within matching. Now, when we get to the point of showing the unmatched grid, on the left-hand side, we're going to have the point of sale system, or really the first data source that got loaded. And this is where customers are being billed, and it will show receipts of whatever got billed. So effectively, the point of sale or the billing system for this retail example. On the right-hand side, or the second data source, is where the point of sale is going to open an invoice in the ERP system to be reflected in the AR, the accounts receivable balance. Now, the matching issue that we are trying to solve for in this particular use case is the open invoices in the GL are not yet received in the point of sale system. Okay. And then finally, at the end of the demo, we're going to review some common matching terminology that makes the automation possible in BlackLine. So we're going to dig a little deeper and go underneath the hood and show you what some of that logic looks like. Okay, so at this point, we're going to exit out of PowerPoint, and I'm just going to transition over to BlackLine. I want to make sure we're still able to see BlackLine. Yes, okay, I see some head nods. All right, so today we are going to be logging into one of our demo instances as Kim Wilson, specifically in the preparer role for the June 2022 period in Initech Corporation. And we're going to be performing an accounts receivable retail reconciliation. So I'm just going to quickly navigate back to the home screen. And what you see on this home page, let me collapse this down for a second, are some really nice dashboards that show the primary products that a mid-market client, if they were to implement MAP, would kind of have, right? So you'll see task certification status up here, of course, the account reconciliation certification status, and if anything's past due. And then matching is actually, it doesn't have dashboards on the home screen, but when we dig a little bit deeper into the AR reconciliation, we'll be able to see the integration of transaction matching on the face of the account reconciliation. Okay. Now you can navigate to an account reconciliation directly from the home dashboard as prepared. So Kim Wilson can come in and say, oh, I see for the June 2022 period, I have one account reconciliation that's in the not prepared status. And so if I were to click on that number and kind of allow this to pop up, this grid right here, if there were more than one record here, you could expand it to get a little bit more real estate. We've covered some of that navigation in previous webinars, but in this case, we're looking at an Atlanta AR reconciliation for this retail client example. Okay, if I were to click on the edit button here, this will actually bring me into the reconciliation itself. And the first thing that you'll kind of notice at the top of the screen is the kind of primary title here, and it'll give me which entity, account number, and the description for the account in question here. If I ever wanted to see more information regarding the setup, I can drill down into this little eye icon. Again, we've covered that on some previous webinars. And then as I work my way down, you'll notice that there is a GL balance here of $103,503.60. And if I hover over this, you'll notice it won't let me update this balance as a preparer. And that's because that has to be done as a control, either through an administrator upload or through an automated feed, which is really what's happening behind the scenes here. It'll also tell me when the last load happened, date and timestamp. You'll also see that the unidentified difference here is the exact same number as the GL balance, meaning that this reconciliation has not been really started for this period. And our goal today is going to be to explain the full $103,000 amount so that we can ultimately certify this reconciliation. Okay. Now, the section a little bit above this that says associated match sets. This is really where I want to focus today, and I want to call everybody's attention to this section, because this is how BlackLine really integrates the transaction matching product with the account reconciliation itself. So the transactions, the match sets, all of that will actually appear on the face of the reconciliation in real time. It's very easy for Kim Wilson to see, in this case, what exactly has been matched. And in this case, if I look at the automatic matches here, there's 23,942 automatic matches, meaning that there's no further human involvement required. So no additional approvals. These are cleared or matched in BlackLine's terminology and considered complete. So these automatic matches equate to a 99.5% match rate. And I'm going to go through this at the tail end of the demo in a little bit more detail on the invoice remit data source, and 97.5% on the open invoice GL data source. So can we just pause for one moment and kind of marvel at getting 97 to 99% of all transactions to automatically clear using BlackLine's pass roll logic? Imagine the time savings, the boosted employee morale, and the accuracy of having a tool like BlackLine come in and really automates, right, the clearing of high volume transaction accounts. Could this product do something similar for your organization? That's a question I'm just going to leave everyone with for a moment. Okay. Now, the other thing that Kim Wilson can clearly see on the face of the reconciliation is which transactions need to be approved. So anything sitting in the suggested bucket, and there's 64 in this case, are transactions that BlackLine found several points to match on, but not fully all of the points in order for us to consider this a full automatic match. And so these 64 transactions do require an additional layer of human approval. So someone with the approver role or an administrator role could come in and approve those suggested matches. And when that step happened, they would actually move over to the manual bucket. Okay. The third kind of set that is easily, visible to see on the face of the rec are what was manually matched by either Kim Wilson or another person with the preparer role and access to this reconciliation. And in this case, there's just 2 transactions there. So for whatever reason, these are transactions that could not be cleared by BlackLine's automation. Okay. And then finally, really what the focus of today is going to be on is what is left, right? What are the exceptions, or in BlackLine's terminology, what are the unmatched transactions? And our goal is going to be to verify that these unmatched transactions are truly timing items, and then we can set them up as a timing item, okay? Now, as I drill down into this little magnifying glass, it's going to bring me into the unmatched grid. And this is really where on the left-hand side, you can see these are point of sale transactions. So they're invoices that have been entered into the billing system. And then on the right-hand side, this is our GL or ERP system. And if you remember, when I kind of set the stage here, what's happening behind the scenes is the point of sale system is automatically generating invoices in the GL that are ultimately being reflected in the AR balance until they're paid. And so there's 41 total point of sale transactions and 588 GL transactions, or you can think of them as open invoices, that have not been cleared as of this time. Okay. Now, in our case, the timing items that we're dealing with here are due to differences between the point of sale and the GL interfaces, something that happens each month in this process. So really it's expected in our use case here. And so what we're going to do is take all of these transactions, the 629, right? If you kind of add the point of sale transactions to the GL transactions, and we're going to send them to the face of the account reconciliation as a supporting item using an automated feature called in-transit definitions. Okay, I know that's a lot of BlackLine speak, but really what that means is we are going to fully automate the process of reconciling this account for the preparer. Okay, and in fact, preparers have the ability to kick off this process. So what I'm going to do is, rather than kind of selecting all of these transactions, and I could do that. I could do that in bulk, grab all 629 transactions, come up to my little actions grid and create an item and send it to the face of the reconciliation. But today I'd really like to show how far you can go with BlackLine's automation. And so I'm going to go back to the face of the reconciliation, and there's a little hyperlink that says create items from matching transactions. Now, before I drill down into this, I'm just going to ask everybody to bear with me for a moment and just trust me on the dates that I'm about to enter. So I just happen to kind of know the data set, and I know exactly which dates need to be entered. There are, this would be something that we would obviously help any client with as part of an implementation to kind of understand the nuances there. And just for time's sake today, we don't have enough time to kind of go through all of the date terminology. Okay, so bear with me for a minute. I'm just going to enter these dates in. And this process could be kicked off by Kim Wilson as preparer, and that's the way we're going to do it today. And of course, an administrator as well could come in here and run the in-transit definitions. In fact, if you go the administrator route, you could even schedule it where this step doesn't have to be done by the preparer, right? And it could ultimately kind of be at the point where Kim Wilson just logs in and confirms that all of this is looking right and certifies the reconciliation. Okay. Now, as I scroll down, I just want to go do a quick check and make sure my item count ties. So I see 629 unmatched transactions got picked up when I ran this in-transit definition. So I'm going to go ahead and, rather than bothering selecting them all, since I know that number ties, I'm just going to say create all. It'll take a couple of seconds for this job to run. And what BlackLine is doing behind the scenes is taking all 629 transactions, and it's going to be putting that on the face of the reconciliation as individual supporting items. Okay. Now, I asked you not to get too hung up on whether this is, whether you would want individual items or summary items, and kind of what came in on the description is an invoice number. All of that can be configured to your particular use case. But think about the power of what we were able to just do. So rather than having to manually enter items and understand, or either manually enter them or pull them over from matching, we were able to do that in an automated fashion using that in-transit definition. And now you'll see all of those items add up to the $103,000 amount that now brought my unidentified difference back to zero. So at this stage, I am actually able to certify this reconciliation as Kim Wilson. Now, on previous webinars, we've covered kind of how to add comments and supporting documentation. That functionality will exist right on any reconciliation. And real quick, what I'm going to do is just select that I have performed the checkpoints that I need to on my certification checklist, and then I can electronically sign off that this reconciliation has been completed. Now, we're going to review some of the terminology in BlackLine matching that makes this automation possible. But before I get there, I'd like to just refresh this real quick and show you kind of in real time on the home screen dashboard. So that rec now went from not prepared to prepared, and it's ready for the administrator. I'm sorry, for the approver to step in and go in and review the work that's been performed. Okay, so I'm going to drill back down real quick into this reconciliation, and I'd like to go through two quick examples. I know we're a little bit short on time here of what a pass rule actually looks like. So if we look at some of the automatic transactions that cleared here, I'm going to drill down in here, and I just want to show an example of, we'll just pick a many-to-many pass rule. Okay, so this is an automatic match, meaning that BlackLine cleared it and there's no further human involvement, right, required. And it just matched on invoice number and amount. So there are 4 point of sale transactions and 45 GL transactions that all added up and matched to the exact penny, and BlackLine cleared these transactions. Okay, anything in blue is what was included in pass rule logic. And so if I back out just real quick and tie the loop on this, when we go and look at an example of a pass rule, that is really kind of the secret sauce that is helping us to tell BlackLine specifically what it is that we would want to match. So if I go look at that many-to-many pass rule, you'll see down here there's some specifics on how we want to define what the many-to-many relationship is and what the fields are on the point of sale and GL side that need to be matched. Okay. Real quick, I'm going to go back and take a look at a suggested pass rule. And again, remember, suggested pass rules allow us to cast a wider net because we're going to also have a human come in and look at it and approve it. And I wanted to show an example of one that had a tolerance in it. Okay, so if we drill down here, this is still matching on invoice number and amount. The invoice numbers in this case tied exactly. BlackLine said good match, but the amounts were off. This particular suggested pass rule had a tolerance of up to $25. And so the delta here met that tolerance, and BlackLine threw out a suggested match. And again, this is going to be approved by someone coming in and reviewing this and saying, yes, either I agree with this or no, I reject it. And it goes back to the unmatched grid. The power of using these suggested pass rules is, again, you can cast that wider net and take some of that effort out of potentially what would have to be manually matched or worked through. Okay. Now, 2 other terms real quick. The match set itself, you might have heard me mention that term. That's just merely the repository or storage container, right, for all the settings and the pass rules that are happening. So every time I drilled down and looked, really at this screen, this is the match set itself. And down here, you'll see the 12 pass rules that have helped us to get to that full automation. And then one other quick comment here. So in this case, we had 2 data sources, right? We had point of sale and GL. You can have up to 3 data sources in the same match set, and that will allow for potentially a 3-way matching, something that is less common, but it is something that BlackLine's matching tool can handle. And those data sources are feeds that are coming in automatically and scheduled to load in the BlackLine. Data can be transformed in the process, so we can flip signs, we can remove leading zeros, we can truncate a text field. Some basic data manipulation can be had, and if you need something further than what BlackLine's import utility wizard can do, we could always step in and use some other technology out there to help. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is flip back to the PowerPoint presentation, and I just want to close the loop real quick on what we did in this scenario. So it's easy for the power of BlackLine matching to get buried. So to summarize the use case that we went through. So we had a total of 24,098 transactions on the point of sale side. And of those with the automatic matches, it was a 99.6% match rate. And then likewise on the GL side, it equated to a 97.6% automatic match rate. So the question might be, how long would this have taken me and how confident could I be by doing all this effort in error-prone Excel? Remember, there's tons of different use cases that you can leverage BlackLine's matching tool for, and that will help to automate those painful and time-consuming processes. Okay, and one other quick slide on this. So what is the value of that automation? Well, really, it comes down to time and resources being saved, efficiency gains being had right in the close process, improved employee morale so that they can really focus their time on more value-added efforts to help grow the business. And at the end of the day, those efficiency gains really equate to days potentially being shaved off your close process. Now, what we see is people generally can envision the ROI. However, BlackLine and Sensiba specifically can help you to calculate a formal ROI on the software if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, I know that we're a little bit over on time at this point, so I'm gonna put it back to Dee and Kevin for a moment and see, do we have time for questions or do we want to close out?
I think we have time for a question. So we have one here, Brandon. Someone wants to know if it's technically feasible to roll out BlackLine and matching specifically across a conglomerate such that the subsidiaries would have capability to create and manage their own data sets and matching while still allowing the parent company to have view access into that. And then also in that same vein, the other subsidiaries couldn't see each other, right?
Absolutely. I love this question. So BlackLine has the ability to set up user access in which specific users can see which information, however an organization desires. So that specific example where you've got multiple subsidiaries and you have certain requirements of who can see what is absolutely doable in the system. It's a very common request out there. And the one thing I would say is BlackLine does work for some of the world's largest organizations out there, multinationals that do have operations all across the globe, different subsidiaries, and it would be straightforward to set up and provision exactly who you want to see what within the system.
Excellent. Well, we're a little past time. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you had other questions that we didn't quite get to, you'll have our contact information, so please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for joining us today.